Hello, and welcome to the Berkshire Football Stories chat podcast with me, Rob Davies, Tom Canning,
Hello.
and Abby Ticehurst.
Hello, hello.
Three of us back together. I don't feel like we've done a pod, just the three of us for a little while. So it's nice to see your faces on the other side of the video screen.
Same to you, mate. It's been a while, hasn't it? Although I did see you in person on Friday night, accidentally.
Yeah, impromptu meetup. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was quite good. It just happened to turn up at a pub that I'm normally in. So, coincidence, planned, you be the judge. Good stuff. Well, we've not done a podcast for a couple of weeks, so we're going to be getting through all the stories and all the happenings over the last couple of weeks, the good and the bad. But first, God, Tom, you got your finger up already.
There was a podcast last week.
Oh, there was a podcast last week.
Yes.
I just wasn't on it, so I've
Nor was
refused to
Abby.
recognise it.
Irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah, so you did an impromptu dial-in, didn't you, Tom?
It did, yes.
When I say there wasn't a podcast, I mean there's not a formal podcast of the chats variety. So yes, so we've got a bit to catch up on. So rather than a normal preamble, I think we've covered that and can tick that off the running order. We could delve straight into the action and the stories. And we're going to start this week with Sandhurst, a team that a few weeks ago we were wondering if they were even going to get to complete their league season, have now become champions of the Combined Counties Division 1 and as such being promoted to Step 5 next season. They eventually finished having to play, I think it was 10 games in 14 days to finish their league season, which is pretty incredible, really. And they still managed to maintain pretty high standard and put away some pretty good opposition to achieve the league title. Tom, that is pretty insane, the run-in they've had, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be first to say that I don't think I thought they would do it. I thought that was too many matches. I think at one point they played. I did look. I think I wrote something on it. They played 4 games in 4 days at one point.
Yeah.
I believe the term is bonkers. I believe there's a slightly stronger term than that, but I'm not going to go down that route. It just, mad. Congratulations to them. Thoroughly deserved it. I think we all, I don't think any of us thought they would achieve it. I think we all thought that was probably too much. But since they have achieved it, it's thoroughly well deserved. They'll be back at Step 5.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Yeah, 13 games in April they had, which is pretty mad. They, like I say, I was unsure. Sandhurst, from what I've seen them this season, earlier in the season, I have to say, they have looked a very strong side, and I thought they were probably the best side in the division. But that fixture schedule, you just didn't know whether it was going to get the better of them or not. And with Berks County going so well as a close rival to Sandhurst, you just don't know. I personally thought that they might just fall away, but they've won the title by 4 points in the end. So clear victory. Yeah, pretty impressive stuff, Abby?
Yeah, definitely. Games to spare as well was even more crazy, I think. The fact that they've done that. Fair play to them. I think we talked about how competitive it was all season. So that's impressive in itself, considering there was a real sort of switching going on between a few of the teams. Just great to see that a Berkshire team's up there, and actually that we've got a few Berkshire teams up there as well in the playoffs as well, which we're obviously going to talk about in a bit. But fantastic effort from Sandhurst. No mean feat at all.
No, absolutely incredible stuff, and it looks like over at Bottom Meadow, they might be. They're hoping to install a artificial pitch this close season. Last I heard, that was happening as soon as the season finished. Now, with both teams, Bracknell and Sandhurst, having completed their seasons, hopefully that will be being installed fairly shortly, and fixture congestion like this might be less likely in the coming seasons.
Yes, it's and what I thought as well was they had a couple of different challenges through the season. Because at one point we thought it was going to be Sandhurst or Langley, and then it was Sandhurst or Berks County, and then it was Sandhurst or Deportivo Galicia, and so they had a couple of different challenges throughout the season, and they they've risen to it. Sorry, if I was a bit slow to react there. I can't decide whether everybody would like to see only half my face or half my face brightly. So I'm going to go with having half my face brightly. The visuals in this room are not the greatest. I might be better if I turn myself around. Oh, there we go. That's better. Let's do that instead.
That looks very shambles, that little transition there, Tom.
For audio listeners, this is dreadful. Let's move on.
Great.
Yes, to your point, Rob. Yes, I think an artificial pitch will make a real difference for them. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's just general in the area. It might make a difference. It's a bit of a debate, though, really, isn't it? Like, I mean, I guess I'm slightly biased in the fact that I'm Ascot from here, but there's nothing like a grass pitch. But actually, the way that football is going, especially how competitive it is, and the quality that is being produced lower and lower down the pyramids, is actually that an artificial pitch is becoming more of a necessity in order for games to be played. So yeah, I think it will make a difference, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's the ground grading as well, isn't it? The Step 6 clubs having to adhere to strict ground grading, and so ground shares are becoming more of a necessity. I think we said that is it 6 clubs in the combined counties Div 1 that are not ground sharing, either in as the tenants or the landlords of a stadium. So with so many games being played on the pitches, I think like you say, the artificial pitches might be becoming more of a necessity, despite the fact I do like a good, well-maintained grass pitch, but you can see why clubs go for it. So whatever makes sense for the clubs, certainly.
I think we all do, don't we? I think we would all prefer grass pitches, but and I think we've discussed this sort of thing a few times. But there's a bunch of reasons why clubs are making the change. The main one being 24/7 revenue opportunities, but just equally, division sizes increasing means there's more games. More divisions means more teams able to come up, but that means more teams need access to better facilities. It just, it goes on. The list goes on and on. I'm not always sure this is a good, like all of this expansion and all of this pyramid change to be certain things, and because the FA wants this strict sort of adherence. So we've seen in the sort of slightly shambolic end to the season. And when I say shambolic, I the weather has not helped. I think from an admin perspective, it's just been an absolute nightmare. And the FA have been able to quietly hide behind the leagues while everybody blames the leagues for shambles. They were the ones that have increased all the divisions. They are the ones that have said that this is when the league should end. Well, anybody with an ounce of non-league football sense knows that it's slightly beholden to the weather and a bunch of other things. And I am sure that every league will look back and go, I'm sure there are things they can improve, but 95% of this shambles sits with the Football Association. Sorry, no one asked me that question. Just want to get that out.
Tom relieving the gas valve in the debate there. Very good. Well, as we say, Sandhurst winning the division by 4 points in the end. That leaving Berks County in second position, and Langley getting into the playoffs on the final game of the season. A very good return for them, considering how sort of they were a decent side last year, but certainly not playoff contenders. So there's been a real upturn in fortune. Well, actually, for both those clubs, to be honest. Berks County was sort of mid-table last year. They both had fantastic seasons, but will now face off against each other in the playoffs for a place to meet either London Samurai Rovers or Rayners Lane on Monday. Who do you fancy out of those two? I'll get to you first, Abby. I know you're slightly biased.
I'm going to stick with Berks County because I did say I wanted them to win the league in general. So I'm going to stick with Berks County. I think they'll have that little kind of. I think potentially Langley might have been thinking that they were out of the playoffs, and then actually they've somehow managed to sneak their way back in there in the last game, as you say. Whereas I think Berks County have been up in that area most of the season, haven't they? So I think they'll have one last little push in them to really have a go at it, definitely.
Absolutely. Who are you picking, Tom?
I don't know. I mean, firstly, it depends on when the game is, doesn't it? Because at the moment it sounds like Berks County are turning up on Wednesday and Langley are turning up on Thursday. That may well have been resolved by the time that this podcast goes out. Who knows? I can only imagine that whoever turns up on Wednesday scores loads of goals, and then we put that together with Langley, who turn up on Thursday and score loads of goals, and see what happens. We do a Twitter vote. I don't know what the best way of deciding this semi-final would be. You asked me who I think will win. I don't know.
Yeah, it's. I mean, this division. We had the Berks County joint managers on the other week, and they were mentioning about how anyone in the division can beat anyone, really. And I mean, the two teams played each other just a few days ago, and the game finished 3-3. And so, they're very evenly well matched sides, and whoever turns up on the day really is just whether how Berks County sort of react to not getting the title, and whether Langley have got sort of that extra boost, as you mentioned, Abby, from actually getting into the playoffs when towards the end of the season it perhaps looked like that might have been slipping away from them. Maybe that gives them that extra push. But either way, we'll have a Berkshire side represented in the final, which will be played on Monday. London Samurai Rovers and Rayners Lane being the other two semi-finalists. And just before we get off them, London Samurai Rovers, they've got a player called Morrison Hashi, who I mentioned in our WhatsApp group before. He's finished the season with 44 appearances and 75 goals. So that's pretty incredible for someone at that level. I'm not sure there'll be anyone in the country with a better average than that, but 75 goals in 44 games across all competitions. So one to look out for either in the semi or the final there. Pretty incredible stuff.
I think everyone's been raving about Matty Longstaff at Notts County, haven't they? But I think that throws him out the water, doesn't it?
Yeah, quite significantly, I think. Yeah,
fair.
Very good indeed. Right, we'll move on, and we're moving on to League Cup win, the SRWFL League Cup win, which Ascot achieved this past weekend.
Yeah,
Abby. On Sunday, yes, indeed. Talk us through that. Congratulations as well. And talk us through.
I'm not sure I can stake a claim in that. Congratulations at all. I am, after all, only the Twitter lady. But yeah, no, do you know what? It was a fantastic game as well. Proper toe-to-toe stuff. It really could have gone either way. So a credit to Eastleigh, who beat us actually earlier in the season as well. It's been between the two teams, it was a really exciting final. So both kind of pretty much smoked their way to the final, to be honest. So yeah, a really great day. It was down at Scowls Lane. So yeah, a Sunday afternoon. The weather was nice as well. That always makes a difference to a cup final, doesn't it? But yeah, it was a really fantastic game. 0-0 at half time as well. So like I said, could have gone either way, really could have done. But then Nicole Brown did Nicole Brown things and scored an absolute screamer of a goal. And then Hannah Bennett did Hannah Bennett things and scored from a free kick. So we couldn't really ask for much more from the sides, to be honest. It was one of those nervy 1-0s for a very, very long time. And then I think it was, I can't even remember, maybe 111th minute or something. Hannah took the free kick and scored it. I will say, however, that extra 111 minutes sounds ridiculous. That's World Cup extra time. That is due to the fact that our captain, Sarah DeVerne, came off injured, and actually subsequently she has broken her foot because of that. So yeah, sending best wishes to Sarah for that. But yeah, all that extra time meant that we secured the win, definitely. And yeah, 1-2-0. Yeah, like I said, a really fantastic day, and Eastleigh really put in a performance as well. So it should be exciting to play them again next season, actually, when we hopefully go for the Southern Region title, having come runners up this year. So yeah, just a really great day out in general, and really super proud of them. Like I said in our little group chat beforehand, 9 years in the making. It's been a little while for some silverware. So a massive credit to Daryl Evans, manager, and player coach Alex Todd, who works crazy numbers of hours to coach the girls. So yeah, just big props to her. And I'm looking at you should look out on socials this week because I've got a few photos to put out of the last time they lifted the cup, and there's a few great memories in there. So yeah, a great day.
Fantastic stuff. And we should also mention the Ascot United reserves still in a pretty good title race in the Thames Valley Counties Women's Football League Division 1. 1 point off leaders New Bradwell St Peter's Ladies, but New Bradwell have played all their games and Ascot still have 2 to go. But there's still a couple of teams behind them, Tyler's Panthers Women and Walgrave Women, who are chasing them down. So a pretty good title race in store there.
Yeah, I think the only games left to play are the top 4. So that is incredibly exciting. And I think, there's opportunities for people to nick points all over the place, really. So I think it genuinely is going to go down to the wire with that one. I mean, a top 3 finish for Berkshire sides would be pretty decent, wouldn't it? Obviously, I'd like it to be Ascot. But yeah, just a real chance for anybody to be in with a chance of winning that one. It's a real credit, I think, to the way that women's football has developed in the last few years, the fact that we are seeing games go down to the final moments. I think there's obviously always going to be some big scores occasionally, especially if you have top and bottom teams play. But actually, I think if you look across the whole division in general as well, generally speaking, there's not been more than, say, 4 goals scored. So I think actually that's a testament to how competitive the Thames Valley has become in the last few years as well, that we're not seeing huge, crazy kind of World Cup winners versus, I don't know, San Marino scores these days. So yeah, it's a really exciting time, and yeah, best of luck to Ascot, Ticehurst and Walgrave, who are all still in it. Hopefully we bump New Bradwell down the table. So yeah, and just to sort of round out the women's Thames Valley Counties Women's Football League title chase chat. If we go down to Division 3 South, there's also another pretty hot title competition there between Eversley and California Women Reserves and Lakespur Rovers Ladies. Eversley and California currently top on 47 points. Lakespur Rovers 1 point behind, but with a game in hand. But the 2 sides do have to play each other before the end of the season. So it's all hotting up there as well. Yeah, absolutely. I think Eversley and California as well, their reserve side are fairly new in the last couple of seasons or so. So I think that's testament to the growth of the club as well, that the fact that their reserves are doing so well. I know they're obviously out of the race at this point, but actually Shinfield Rangers as well in 3rd. They're guaranteed their 3rd spot, I think, looking at the table. Again, a team that's only been around for 2 seasons. So, like I said, in terms of Division 1, I think it's just a testament to the growth of women's football in the last few years, that teams are successfully making their way up the tables and getting some good results. So, yeah, it should be an exciting one. And, yeah, fingers crossed Eversley do it. Another Berkshire team at the top of the table would be great.
Absolutely. Good stuff indeed. Well, before we go into the break, we've got the pretty much, one of the biggest games over the weekend happened down at Bottom Meadow on Monday. It was the Southern League Premier Division South playoff final between Bracknell Town and Truro. It's Truro City, isn't it? And the 2 sides have played each other twice before, Bracknell losing both league games this season, and unfortunately they were defeated at home 3-2 with a goal in the 94th minute. A painful, very painful way to end up losing, because obviously Truro now progress into the National League South. Pretty tough one for Bracknell, that, Tom.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? Last minute winners are not the sort of the thing you want to end the season on.
Yeah.
I know I'm in the Bracknell Town Supporters Club Facebook group, and it's been pretty despondent. They're obviously all disappointed. They've had a hell of a season though. It's one of those where I guess at the start of the season, it's one of those sort of cliches, isn't it? At the start of the season, if you'd have offered them all of this, they'd probably would have taken it. But it's just, I spoke to Carl Withers last week on the podcast, and it's just you got a feel for them. I noticed one of our regular listeners, Ben Martin Dye, he posted on Facebook, keep getting flashbacks to their goal. This is a counselling thread. Please feel free to post your feelings. And there's the meme of Steve Carell in the office just shouting, "No, please God, no."
Yeah.
It's they were so close. Obviously they were behind twice. They came back twice. As far as from what I can see, watch the highlights. Bracknell were well in the game. That they had chances. Ben Harris had a chance at the end, and it's just one of those things. But it's fine margins, isn't it? And at one point we were thinking that Bracknell maybe could have won the league, and then they are. And then here we are, playoff final, and it's come down to it. It's not, Bracknell lost a playoff final at step 4 a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
To
Hayes and Yedding.
Was it?
I think so. Yeah.
No. It was Cheshire, I think.
Okay. Hayes and Yedding won the league then that year, did they?
Yes, they did. I think they lost the playoff final to Cheshire, and it just, it's devastating. But the club have to bounce back now. For Carl Withers and Jamie McClurg, it's a moment that will help them grow. I did on our Twitter thread. I did at one point just shout out, "Get Clergy on!" No stranger to scoring a late playoff final winner. Obviously, you feel for them. They will have to dust themselves off and go again. Now, I wonder whether they will prioritise league title over everything else next season. Go all out to achieve that and win the league. Although there will be some stiff competition in that division, there will be some big clubs around as well, fighting for that title.
I mean, they had such an incredible run since Withers and McClurg came in, because they were sort of in the bottom half, sort of mid-table bottom half side, and then Withers and McClurg came in, and they've since that point they've been significantly the best side in the league, and just missing out on the title by 3 points in the end. It's still a pretty incredible season, and that's before we talk about the cup runs and the game against Ipswich and victories against sides in step 2 to get to that point and to get to progress in other cup competitions. So, they've still got the Berks and Bucks Cup final to play as well, of course, next week. So, their season is. I said their season's over. Their season at Bottom Meadows over. It's not quite complete yet, but they've had an incredible season. I kind of hope obviously from a Berkshire side, they're playing Marlow in the final. I want Bracknell to win, but it would be. They deserve something out of this season, and I know second place in the Southern League Premier Division South, the first after getting promoted last season, is an incredible achievement in itself. But to get some silverware to sort of say, this is we've got this from this season, and it was a great season, would be really fitting, I think.
I'm chuckling. I love the County Cup. I think the way that the County Cup has been done, where there's the opportunity to play professional clubs, albeit usually they're youngsters, but the opportunity to do that is a brilliant thing. But I just, I'm chuckling. I'm just purely chuckling because it's going to be very much like, they're going to have to pick themselves up for that, because it won't have been a priority. At the when they were playing all of their games, it certainly won't have been a priority, and I'm sure they barely even thought about it in the build up to the playoff final at the weekend. So it would be interesting to see how they do. And Marlow, of course, lost in their playoffs as well, so both sides will be feeling a bit sorry for themselves and eager to get something out of it. There we go.
Could be a good game down at the racecourse ground. Good stuff indeed. Okay. Oh, sorry. Go on then, Tom.
It just occurred to me, you just said the racecourse ground, and I have seen a few people say, why all of these other counties play them at the professional grounds? Well, that's fine, but a way more than half empty professional ground versus a packed non-league ground. I know where my preference is. The players may think differently, but the Berks and Berks County final has hardly ever been played at the Madejski Stadium. I think once in the last 5 years.
I don't think it's even that. I think the last time it was played was like in the 80s at Elm Park.
No, there was a few years ago. It was Bracknell beat.
This is going to be good.
Can't remember now. Maybe I might even be making that up.
You're listening to a man.
I don't think it has been.
You're listening to a man misremember a fact.
Honestly, I'm certain the last time a Berks and Berks final was played at Reading or anything like that was in the 80s when it was at Elm Park. I'm sure.
Maybe. Anyway, I'm sure someone will point this out later when they're listening to it. But it's hardly ever been played there. As I say, the players may think differently. I think I would, if I was playing, I would prefer to play in front of a tightly packed crowd at a smaller ground than a half-empty, not even half-empty, like 90% empty professional stadium. That's just how I would do it, and I think that's right.
Well, it's due to be a great occasion. Whatever happens, it's going to be played at Ascot Racecourse Ground on Tuesday, the 9th of May. So next Tuesday, get your tickets and get down there and give Bracknell the support and cheer them on for the Cup. Good stuff. Right, we're going to have a break now where Tom's going to give us some adverts, and you can listen to us talk about some of the teams that perhaps didn't have quite as good a season after these messages.
Definitely should have done it the other way around, shouldn't we? Anyway, here are the ads. Our podcast is kindly sponsored by the Curious Academy. Unleash your potential at our skills hub in Reading, specialising in digital data analytics and sales training. The Curious Academy delivers inspirational and fun programs designed to help people wanting to improve their skills, whatever their background. This podcast is also sponsored by Ticket Pass. Ticket Pass is an ethical ticketing platform. They provide an ethical alternative to a ticketing industry that often profits from greed. Our platform is an all-in-one solution for creating events, buying and selling tickets, live streaming, and keeping events a safe space. Football in Berkshire uses Ticket Pass. It's great. Can't say more than that, really. Crack on. There you go, Rob.
Brilliant. And before we get stuck into part two, Tom, why don't you talk us through another event that's happening in Berkshire, our own awards ceremony?
Oh, good shout. Yes, the Berkshire Football Awards are on the 21st of June at Double Barreled Brewery. Tickets for that will be on sale a month in advance after we've put out the shortlist. Nominations are now open. You can go to the website to nominate a volunteer, a player, a match day experience, an image, loads of stuff, absolutely loads of stuff. It's all there. A manager. I can't think of a single manager that has done a single good thing this year. So someone jump on and nominate some managers. There's loads there. If you go to footballinberkshire.co.uk, there is a little button at the top of the website that says 2023 awards open. And you can find out more by clicking that button.
Yeah, and get nominating so we can have lots of people can get the credit they deserve for what a great season we've had in Berkshire. Good stuff indeed. Okay, so pushing on into part two, and we begin with what's starting to look like a bit of a tricky situation for Reading women, Abby. They are currently at the foot of the Women's Super League table. 1 point for the last 5 games, and 2 points behind Brighton Hove Albion and Leicester. So easy, plenty of time to make up that gap at the moment. But I suppose there's only 3 games left, so it's starting to get a little bit nervy. How are you feeling?
Honestly, thank God for Ascot. Reading right now is a shambles.
Yeah.
How am I feeling? I'm not even sure I've got a word for it right now.
Take us through the weekend. How are you feeling when Leicester won 4-0 against Liverpool to leapfrog Reading and put them down into the bottom half of the table?
Oh, terrified, I think is the word.
Yeah?
Yeah, possibly. Actually, do you know what? I wasn't entirely surprised. So I think I've said it before, and I've had this conversation with a few people. is that Leicester have done the same thing they did last season, where they sort of plod along for the season, and then kind of March, April comes, and they go, "Oh, should we play some football now?" And then just pull like bags of points out from somewhere, and just suddenly go on this mad streak of winning. And I just think, oh, okay. And I think we've got away with that the last season. It was fine because we had Birmingham City to sort us out. But now, they're not there anymore, and so now it's us. So,
slightly lovely. But then Reading, of course, playing Man City at the weekend, got a first-minute goal. What were you thinking at that point?
So I was talking to Ben Waite, as we regularly do, out on a Reading match day, and we assumed it was going to be a bloodbath, maybe a 5, 6, 7-0. And then, so at the time as well, I was at Ascot, or with Ascot rather, watching our game go ahead. And I just happened to glance at my phone 1 minute in, and we're 1-0 up. I thought I was having some sort of fever dream. But then I was like, well, I mean, we'll hang on to that for now. And we seemed to do all right. And then, the onslaught happened, and the dream was shattered. So
Reading with a home game against Aston Villa this weekend, followed by fixtures against Tottenham away. A big game that, with Tottenham only 3 points ahead of Reading, and finishing on the final day of the season at home to Chelsea. You'd probably think the next 2 games are pretty crucial for Reading. They've got to start picking up points there. You don't want to be relying on getting points off Chelsea on the final day of the season.
Yeah, and I'm really struggling to see where we will get points, if I'm honest. Villa are absolutely storming their season. They're up there in 5th. They've got that Darley Daly duo that are absolutely on fire right now. So I'd be shocked if we got points at Villa. Spurs are having a bizarre season. They're very up and down, but I see, considering we couldn't take points off Leicester or Brighton, the thought of getting points at Spurs makes me don't see that happening at all. So genuinely, I mean, I hate to be this pessimistic.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I really do. I can't see anything coming from elsewhere, to be honest. It will be a miracle, genuinely. And I think big things need to happen in the summer. Really, they do. I think I've been a bit reluctant to say it kind of out loud in the last couple of seasons, but I do think Kelly Chambers needs to go at this point. I think she probably should have gone 2-3 seasons ago. And now, we need something fresh, something new, something different, because we just seem to be on a downward spiral. And I think the issue is that when we do end up in the Championship, I don't see us coming back up with the current setup that we have at Reading and how things are going currently. So, I think we just need something fresh to happen there. Interestingly as well, the Supporters Trust at Reading held a evening at Blue Collar last week with Mark Bowen, the director of football, and he mentioned that our budget is 4 times any other Championship side. I don't know what the figure is for it to be 4 times that, but I'm just wondering what that money is doing or where that is going. And the other issue is that with the men looking like they're getting relegated as well, that's likely to have a knock-on effect on the women as well. So we're in a bit of a sorry state of affairs right now. I don't want to sound this negative either, but I'm struggling to find positives from any area, if I'm honest.
Yeah, not the best times at Reading, but there's still a couple of games left to go, or 3 games left to go, and the points still to be played for. So starting this weekend, you've got to hope that maybe Villa have taken their eye off the ball a little bit, considering they're a bit too far away from Europe, and there's absolutely no danger of them getting drawn into a relegation fight. They're, like you say, they're at a cracking season. So maybe a mid-table side is what you need, but we shall see. We'll talk again next week, and hopefully you're a little bit more optimistic.
We'll see.
I did just watch the goals. The Trolls card goal was brilliant.
That's the issue, though. Is that we can score some great goals, but then I don't know, that's it. Like, we'll have one, 2 good goals, and then actually it all gets undone, because that's exactly what happened against Everton as well. So it's just we don't like we have people in the team who can score good goals, but just not enough of them.
I think, like, not that this would change the way that the team performs, but there's a severe lack of information about the club, how the club works, how everything, there's nothing. Like, how when's Deanne Rose back?
Yeah,
who knows? There were pictures of her, training. When's she back? There is a complete. There are non-league teams who do a better job of keeping their fans informed, and I'm not trying to be over critical of the guy that runs the Twitter, because he's one person. But overall, and obviously if there's one person, full well, Abby, there's only so much you can do. But for a professional team, there doesn't seem to be enough information out about the club, the team. Where's the injury update? Slough Town do an amazing job of telling you what the squad is for the weekend, of what the injuries, of keeping everything up to date, and that's kind of just from the manager and or the whoever those are. There doesn't feel like there's enough. If you want to build a fan base, you've got to take people with you, and if there's no way of finding out about what's going on at the club, then it's never going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of paper in the cracks right now, to be honest, because I keep seeing lots of things about, we've had a record-breaking season of fans attending and things like that, and it's brilliant. Like, okay, great, but we haven't got a striker that can score more than 5 goals, so yeah.
But that's been a long-term problem as well, hasn't it?
Yeah. Which is what makes me wonder where this 4 times every other championship side money, like, okay, great.
That's fine when they're in the championship, but that's not obviously competing in the WSL.
I think it will be interesting to see how Bristol fare coming back up from the championship, having spent a couple of seasons down there.
Yeah.
See how they get on and things like that. So yeah, it'll be a little long-term watch of how things go with that if Reading do end up going down.
Indeed. Well, like we say, perhaps one side they can draw a little bit of hope from would be Maidenhead United, who managed to retain their status in the National League on the last day of the season, despite, it has to be said, quite a heavy defeat away at Gateshead. You mentioned a few weeks ago, Tom, that Maidenhead just always seem to survive. But you've also mentioned more recently, perhaps, that you're a little bit worried about them. How do you think this season has gone in general for Maidenhead? Because at the start, they've got to be thinking their main priority is survival. They've achieved that, but it's doesn't leave too much to sort of get your teeth into, if you know what I mean.
I saw Josh Brown, our mate from the Maidenhead Advertiser. Well, it might have been Dan Darlington. I can't remember. Either one of those two are worth a follow on Twitter, certainly for your Maidenhead news. But I saw both of them sort of say, or certainly, whichever one it was, doesn't matter. One of them said that Dev's aim was to just get over the line, however that is. They've got over the line. There was a moment on Saturday. Sorry, it was a bank holiday weekend, so I'm trying to remember what days the games were. Yeah. Where it looked like it was all going in the wrong direction. It needed a big swing of goals, and Gateshead scoring 3 certainly edged towards an absolute final day meltdown. Yeah. Fortunately, they survived, but constantly survive. Like, obviously, that's great. They had some brilliant results this season. They had some incredible moments. They had some good runs. The wins against the teams and the points against the teams in the top half of the table, teams they wouldn't expect to beat, Devonshiring sides, as we like to say. Great, brilliant. But what does all that mean in the end? And I think that they're a club that get a few thousand through the gate. Certainly 4 figures on a regular basis. How does that keep going? How do they survive next year? Because I don't know. And how do they keep the interest from those people who are interested in the club? They're a club that do very well at keeping people informed. As far as I can see, they've got a regular newsletter that goes out. They've got Twitter updates. They've got goals. They've got video of everything going out. They do very well in keeping people informed. They've got some good places around the club. They've got some good venues in the town to go to. So they do a really good job of keeping people interested. But on the pitch, that only goes so far, I think. And how do Maidenhead United show ambition? Well, obviously they show it by moving to a new ground, but that may or may not be a little way off yet. I don't know what the next step for them is, because they I mean, realistically, a really good FA Trophy run would be quite handy. It's a shame that they didn't push on this season, because there will be teams in the FA Trophy that will take their eye off it because they're focusing on the league. Well, could Maidenhead make the most of that and perhaps push all the way to Wembley? Why not? They're in the top division of non-league football. There's no reason they couldn't get to Wembley. I don't know. I'm not really sure what the future holds for Maidenhead United. They obviously don't want to go down. That would not be that would be. I don't suppose it would be catastrophic, but it's not great for a team that wants. I think they have ambitions of going full time. How and when that happens, I don't know. But they and whether Dev can keep pulling rabbits out of the hat. Talking to Pat Chambers, the Hungerford chairman, this week for a podcast that's going out on Friday. He said, you keep each summer, you keep bringing players in, bringing players in, looking for that one or two that are going to shine for you and keep you in the division. And he said, and it didn't happen for us this summer. Well, sorry, it didn't happen for us this season. Well, you've got to think at some point those rabbits are not going to come out of the hat, and maybe that's not going to be enough. And what then?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to obviously put that into the context of Maidenhead being one of three non-professional sides in the division. So, I mean, obviously their goal is going to be to stay up each year. And interestingly, all three sides did stay up from the and it was some of the bigger boys, shall we say, that the more professional teams that went down. But
it's one of those. Sorry, Robin, carry on.
Yeah, no, just going to say that you look at when teams like Scunthorpe and Yeovil are going down, and teams with sort of championship experience, let alone football league experience, then does that mean that obviously that it's a great achievement to finish above those, but it's like, are you relying on clubs being sort of basket cases when they come down for the football league, to stay in the division? But it's tough for Maidenhead because they are the lowest budgeted side in the league. Pretty much, they are one of the smallest teams in the division, and so a good season is staying up. And how many good seasons do you have in a row? So
that's it, isn't it? I think the National League, because of where it is and the calamity of falling out of the Football League, you do end up with a basket case or two a season. And essentially, there were only 2 relegation spots in the National League this season because Yeovil looked like they're going to go into administration and Scunthorpe were absolutely dire. The fact that neither of those finished bottom is and Maidstone United I don't think that reflects on Maidstone United at all, but how those 2 other sides didn't finish in the bottom 2, I don't know. There is that, I suppose. There is always a guaranteed relegation space almost for a complete basket case of a side that's fallen out of the Football League. So it's not quite as it's maybe not quite as difficult to stay up as the National League South in some respects. No team got below 40 points in the National League South. And that's ridiculous.
That is, I suppose you're right there. I mean, if we sort of say, well done, I guess, to Maidenhead for staying up. It's been a quite pessimistic check, but if you as you've mentioned, the National League South, we move on to Hungerford, who obviously got relegated from that division. Will be going down to Step 3 next season, and as you mentioned, talking to Peter Chambers, that it's just their signings didn't click. They seem to be in a lot of games all the way through the season and just missing a goal scorer. And then when they got a goal scorer, or when they got a few, they kept getting injured. And so towards the second half of the season, it was just an unlucky season for Hungerford. But again, I mean, if they're going to be one of the smallest teams in Step 2, their ambition was essentially to stay up each season. How many seasons do you have a good season where you stay up? And unfortunately for Hungerford, they had didn't have a good season this year and have ended up going down. So yeah, anything to mention on Hungerford?
No. A lot of this will be covered in the podcast on Friday. It's a good one. It's about a half hour with Pat, and it's really good. He said, they ended up towards the end of the season through a little bit of money they'd made from the trophy at it to try and do it, and it didn't come off. Injuries, a couple of other things. It just didn't come off for them. But listen out for that podcast on Friday, because that's a good one.
Good stuff indeed. And to round out, our relegation chat, Windsor getting relegated from Step 5 from the Combined Counties Premier Division North. We'll be playing Step 6 football next season. Despite winning their last 2 games, other sides picked up points as well. And in fact, Windsor have actually had a points deduction added to their total, meaning they finished second bottom on 29 points from their 38 games, 5 points from safety in the end. It's a real shame for Windsor, isn't it? Abby, what do you make of their situation over there?
Yeah, I think so. It's like that table's been like equally as competitive at both ends, hasn't it, really? So the promotion race has been just as scintillating as the relegation race was, really, and it looked like it really could be any of the sort of bottom 4, bottom 5. But yeah, Windsor, I think I've said it a few times over the season that Windsor have just been kind of quite disjointed, really. They've picked up points in places maybe they shouldn't have picked up points, and then lost in places where equally they probably shouldn't have lost, and not picked up those points in the right places, really. So, and I think we talked about with Bob as well, the fact that there's been quite a few things off the pitch as well in terms of owners and things like that. Has potentially had an effect on the players and their pitch performance as well, that sort of uncertainty. So, it's never nice to obviously see a fellow Berkshire side go down. But maybe they need a sort of a rebuild season down at Step 6 to come back up again, possibly.
Yeah, hopefully that's the way it works out, and they can, put right some of the issues that have been plaguing them for a couple of years now, really, and get the club all pulling in the same direction, because there's potential there, obviously, with how Windsor and Eton performed previously, and Windsor not so long ago have had good runs in the FA Vars. If they get it right, there's good potential there, Tom.
Yeah, there is. I think it depends on how the ownership goes over the summer. I can't I don't have any information on this particularly, but I can't see it being anything other than a long drawn out process, and I hope it isn't, because a long drawn out process benefits absolutely nobody. I have spoken to Mick Woodham, the manager. That's all I can really say. I can't see it being a quickly resolved. It does it for the sake of the football club. It needs to be, whatever's going on, it needs to be sorted out really quickly, because they need a clear run at the summer to build. Because there is absolutely no way that Windsor should be going into Step 6 football without being the title favourites.
Absolutely. So we wait to see the start of the season where they end up and how they can compete at Step 6. One to keep an eye on. Rounding out our sort of chat from the weekend, we're going to have to talk about something slightly unusual. Ascot having things that not going quite their way at the weekend. They with the semi-final of the Cherry Red Records Premier Challenge Cup, the League Cup for the Combined Counties, and a 3-3 draw at the Racecourse Ground with North Greenford United, but unfortunately losing 4-2 on penalties. So no treble this season for Ascot. Obviously, it's still been pretty successful, whichever way you cut it. can't really deny that. But yeah, how did the game go, Abby?
Do you know what? It was a really great game, and fitting of a semi-final again. Definitely super competitive. I say that we had gone up 2-0 inside 20 minutes. So really, it should have been kind of plain sailing from there, to be honest. But yeah, I guess teams come to Ascot hoping to get points and hoping to win things, don't they? So I think North Greenford just maybe in the final. What?
I think you're confusing Ascot United with Ascot Racecourse.
Okay. You throw me off there, Tom. I don't know what I'm saying now. No, I genuinely have. You've completely thrown me off there. What was I saying? So I think North Greenford just pulled it back with 3 goals. And then, funnily enough, actually, I did have a conversation earlier in the week with Louis about his goal gift and things like that. And he was like, I'm scoring on Saturday. And he did a great header as well to send it to penalties. We're no stranger to penalties, obviously, this season. But just was not our day for it. I never ever want to make excuses for them, but I think a little bit of it was the team are a bit tired. It's been a bit busy this season, so I think it was a little bit the last few sort of moments or so were a bit like we did look a bit tired, but I mean, there's so much positivity around the rest of the team and the club in general, actually, that I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to have a week off before the Vars final, exactly. Not being another final. So
having 3 weeks between that semi-final and your next game at Wembley. So hopefully some sort of recuperation can take place in that period, and Ascot can hit the Wembley final in the FA Vars fit and at 100%.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom. You look like you were about to say something there. I'll cut you off.
I'm just reminded of something I said to your chairman on last week's podcast, Abby. I think Thatcham had 3 cup finals in the lead up to the Vars. They had the Hellenic League Cup final. I think they had the Berks and Bucks Cup final, and then the FA Vars final. They lost the first 2.
There you go. If you're looking for a good omen. Very good. And on the other side of the draw, another Berkshire side going out, Hollyport, who've actually had a very good season, get to the semi-final and being knocked out by Flackwell Heath, a very strong side.
Never lose.
Never lose. But Hollyport in the end, 12 points above the relegation places, so a pretty good return for them, and unfortunately just couldn't get over the line in the FA Cup. The League Cup semi-final. So no Berkshire representative in that trophy in the final this season, unfortunately. Maybe next year for us. Right, just before we go, we should probably just have a look at any fixtures this weekend. We won't do a full pick because there's so few games now. Abby, maybe pick out a couple of the women's games, because there are a handful of women's games left on the Sunday. And some pretty big games in terms of title contention.
Yeah, I think I probably have to go for Ascot versus Walgrave, don't I? Really, it's a bit of I mean, we talked about how competitive it was. Walgrave have got a little bit of a hill to climb because they are 6 points behind Ascot, but they have still got 3 games to play, so they'll be looking to pick up points everywhere possible. So, I think actually when you look at kind of win, draw, lose stats as well, there's very little between the teams as well. So it's very possible that either side could take points there. It'll be a 0-0 draw now. I've said that, won't it?
Nailed on.
But I think that should be a real thriller of a game, definitely.
Very good indeed. Tom, is there any fixtures this weekend you want to draw attention to?
I think the crucial one is Reading v Aston Villa, isn't it, on Sunday? That's the big one. You've also got a lovely Monday night, 4 o'clock. I'm not sure how right. Oh no, it's bank holiday, isn't it? There we go. You've got the I want to say the West Berkshire derby, Reading YMCA at home to Burfield. The Padworth versus Burfield derby. that'll be quite a good one. I'm not sure of the state of the Thames Valley Premier League at the moment. I know Yateley have obviously won it. I'm not sure what anybody's playing for, but that would be quite a nice game to go to. The Cauldron down at Padworth Village Hall is a smashing little place to go. There's nothing around it, so you're a captive audience. But yeah, it's a decent little place to go and watch a football match.
Lovely stuff indeed. And for these fixtures and anything else, get on over to www.footballinberkshire.co.uk and the fixtures results page, and all your Berkshire fixtures will be there, and you can pick out the games remaining for the end of the season. You still enough to go to a game every night if you want to, but yeah, they're getting few and far between now. So get over it and check the fixtures before travelling. Good stuff indeed. Right, is there any other business before we wrap up?
Only go and buy your tickets for Wembley. They're still on sale.
Go and buy. You remember to put that in the actual podcast this time. That's good.
Yeah, still hanging on about that. Blimey.
So, Ascot tickets for Wembley, non-finals, non-league finals day on Sunday, the 21st of May. At Wembley. Obviously, your ticket will get you into the Ascot versus Newport Pagnell FA Vars final, but it also gets you into the FA Trophy final between Gateshead and Halifax. So, 2 tickets for the price of 1. And yeah, get down there supporting Ascot, and you can go to Ascot, and all the ticket information is there. You can sit with all the Ascot fans. So you've sold quite a few already, haven't you? 2,500 last I saw.
Yeah, about that. I think we're approaching 3 actually. So
okay, very good indeed. Yeah, so there's going to be a good crowd there. So it'd be great to be part of it. So get on down to the Ascot Twitter page and social media and website for information on how to get your tickets. Good stuff. Nothing else? No.
2 podcasts this week. Enjoy.
That's enough. Great. 2 podcasts this week, so watch out for the second. But we'll wrap it up there and just say you can follow us. As we mentioned, you've got the website, www.footballinberkshire.co.uk, or you can follow us on all the social media channels. Just look for Football in Berkshire, and we'll come up on pretty much any of them. So get on down for all our content there. And we'll just say thank you very much for listening. I've been your host, Rob Davies. I've been joined by Tom Canning.
Hello.
And Abby Ticehurst.
See ya.
And we will speak to you again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.